you should be careful about what you talk about in your stand-up act, because there are things you don't want to do in this business. Plus, Midge is going back to the start, her first apartment. Stay tuned as we discuss the Mrs. Maisel Season 3 finale.
I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hey everybody, I'm Rachel Goodman, and I'm here with our marvelous Maisel panel.
Hi.
We've got Ashley, our resident pastrami lover.
Hey guys.
And we've got Lauren, who is such a fan of the show that his cat is called Mrs. Maisel.
And I'm wearing a cat shirt, a retro cat shirt.
That
Love
is
it.
amazing. Yeah. So we have so much to talk about, but be sure to stay tuned until the end because we have our news segment and our women in comedy segment. And then we'll do our overall predictions for what we think might be coming down the line. Sorry. In season 4. Let's dive right in and let's just start talking. Let's just start talking about Midge and the apartment situation, because I felt like she was pretty bold to go to Moishe and,
Yeah. Okay, can I just say too, I have felt like this for a long time, basically since season 1. Why the heck did she have to move out of the apartment and give it up? Usually when the guy leaves her, she, gets to stay with the kids. But in this case, her father-in-law owned the apartment. And so that was like, I don't know, this whole thing, the whole time I've been mad that she didn't get to stay there anyways.
Yeah, I mean, it is frustrating, but the thing was that Joel did not spend his money the right way, and that's when he revealed he was broke, basically.
Yeah.
And so it was all Moishe's,
And it forces Midge to go and do her thing.
That's true. She might have just stayed a housewife if she had this plush apartment and honestly was set for life with money. So you're right. She had to go off and do her own thing. And now she has saved up all her money, we found out, not spent it anything with. I felt like, maybe she spent it on dresses or I don't know. We never really knew what she spent her money on. You did see her taking money from Joel, and I'm guessing that was child support and maybe alimony every month. And now we've learned that all her money she has pocketed and she wants to use as a down payment to buy her apartment back from Moishe, and I'm loving it.
If she has her money. But we'll get to that when we talk about Susie and the gambling problem.
Right.
What I want to say about Midge is that originally when I think that she had to lose that apartment because one of her parents said at the beginning of the show, she is a child. And I think that was true. I think she was a child in many ways. Not every way. She had things that she was very good at that she was very adult about. But I think now, after she's been through her journey, we see her coming back into her apartment on her own terms with her own money. Yeah. And we really see a testament of the woman that she has grown into when we see what it's like for her when she goes to Joel's club, which is just officially opened.
Yes.
She meets May for the first time, who jokes that she didn't know that Joel had a wife.
Yeah.
After all the times he's talked about it.
It's so crazy, that interaction. I felt so awkward. And the other woman, and it was just so interesting to see the two together. And I felt like they were really sizing each other up and trying to one-up each other. And eventually they kind of maybe just let it go and were like, okay, well, like this is who we are and where we are, and this is it.
May says, I'm going to be a doctor. Then Midge says, I'm going to play the Apollo. So, yeah.
Yeah. Which is, it's
Beat
funny.
that.
It's funny because Midge is admitting that she was literally about to go and play the Apollo. So it wasn't like she was saying, oh, well, down the line, which is, I mean, at this point, we don't know how much longer May has before she does her residency and, everything entailed with actually becoming a doctor. Right. So, but I get the whole point is that May isn't just, she's not a typical person who's not doing anything. She has a lot of dreams and ambition.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so I found that interesting. I loved the moment where we got to see Midge actually doing a set up on stage, and it's a callback to earlier where even though they were fighting over where they were going to send their kids, finally, school, Midge was like, okay, well, I don't really want to send my child to a school in Queens, but... it was just funny how she basically settled the argument by doing her stand-up.
And saving him once again, don't you guys think?
Yeah.
I feel like Midge is always to the rescue when it comes to Joel. So the power went out and there was no music and it was so awkward the opening night of his club, and she came in and was so funny and cute like she always is and saved the show. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like he does owe her and he needs to listen to her. She knows what she's doing.
It does feel like that every time she's on stage, it's all riffing. Like there's no... We only saw one time earlier this season when she was writing jokes in her book at the bar in Miami, which is we don't really get to see that part. It's not like we need it. But for most comedians, you're writing, whether it's in a book or somewhere in your head, you're writing and working on the same material. But it looks to us that she just thinks something, plays the room, and then says it, and then it works.
Yeah, and I think what it is, too, is that she could have just crafted those jokes, like, some of them, off the cuffs, but, like, I think that she has done this so many times now that she knows what's going to land and what's not.
Totally.
And she has a really good idea, so she can kind of craft a joke around that.
Yeah.
Let's jump, let's talk about Abe really fast. Abe and... Yeah, let's talk about just kind of mentioning him as we get further on in the in this episode. Everyone is moving out to go back into the apartment, and as they're doing this, we end up seeing this thing where Abe, not only does he get heckled by David Merrick, who was a real Broadway producer, but he ends up getting hired to work for a paper as the theater critic. So we've seen him come full circle completely.
I know. And he got published in the New York Times, which I thought was amazing and so unexpected. And he was so proud of himself.
Handing it out at a bris.
Yeah.
I mean, that was awkward, but...
and even during the Brits, he's like, yes, I'm so excited for myself.
Right.
Yeah. He's like a little child.
Yeah, exactly. And then while we have him, we also got this side story with Rose and Benjamin, where she had been going to Benjamin and one, like, apologizing to him, but then two, trying to set him up and playing matchmaker. And Benjamin, I get that he's hurt from last, when he was engaged to Midge, but we really got to see the full force of what he was going through when he comes into the diner and is able to finally tell Midge, this is how you made me feel. Right. What did you guys think of that moment?
I loved it because we never really got closure with Benjamin and her, and you kind of wondered what happened and how it all went down. And so now we finally get to see, first of all, I love him. He's gorgeous to look at. And so I was loving that he's back on the show. And I love that he really opened up, and it kind of felt like there was maybe a door open. Maybe I'm crazy, but for them to continue talking, or maybe she's still interested, especially now that she knows that he would be open to her touring and being a comedian and everything else. She felt like there was no way she could have this career and this lifestyle that she wanted and be married to him, but maybe she's going to realize she can do both, and I would love to see that.
And he literally said to her, you should have asked me before you just left and wrote me a letter.
It puts that doubt in our minds of, would she go back with him? Does that mean then she falls into being a stay-at-home mom and loses her career? We're not sure. And I can't tell if he would support her in having her career.
It seems like he would. He was kind of telling her, well, you didn't even ask me, because I basically would have said yes. Then when we get to see each other, like he said, it would be so exciting.
Yeah.
And who wouldn't want that? Every time you come home, you're so excited to be with your partner and significant other, and I feel like she didn't give him a chance at all.
Yeah, and it's unfair to him that she would just literally write a letter and then walk away and not give him the chance. Not even like he said, it wasn't even she's a brave person, but her actions were very cowardly with how she handled this. And it frustrates me, but I think the problem is that she, when it comes to men, I just feel like she is not. To me, she's not quite emotionally ready to be in a relationship like that where she's going to settle with one person.
I agree.
So I think that was the problem, but she just couldn't recognize it in herself, and that's okay. I mean, she's still a young person, so that's part of it, but it's still, as a viewer, I'm like, I feel really bad for him. Yeah. Because obviously he wasn't in the same place as her. He was ready.
But the whole Rose thing and how it all came about and her going to talk to him and trying to set him up, she's playing this role as matchmaker. She saw it really pay off early on in the episode when she set up her friend's daughter, and she got these glasses that she had been eyeing for so long. And so I feel like she might see herself having a career, which she's never seen for herself in her whole life. She always saw herself as a mom and a wife, and now maybe there's more, and it's very exciting. disappointing, and I feel like there's something to it. And you see her telling Midge, basically, she blames this on her, and she feels like she's empowered now to take back her life and not rely on a man, and she wants to be more independent. And Midge has done this for her, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I love the direction where we're seeing her head to. Yeah. And it's just, I feel like now, she's finally in a better place, because she's always been kind of told what to do, and now she might get to make her own decisions. And that scene that we got between Rose and Midge, it was just, very eye-opening for both of them.
Totally.
Yeah, I was struck by the way that Rose was finally honest with Midge, but also herself, that she finally realized what she wanted for her life. So it was very powerful.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
Okay, let's lead into our ending. We had a lot going on with Susie in particular. Her mother had passed away.
Yep.
But the big thing that I really want to start with is everything that happened with the gambling and the money. And she didn't even cry hearing about her mother, which is understandable if you have a bad relationship with a parent. So I actually understood that. But the insurance or the gambling situation where Susie goes in, she's with Shy's cat, with his crew, and Reggie in particular. And when the game did not go as Susie planned, Reggie's reaction to her, like genuine care, like, can I help you? How much money did you lose? And again, it's like the show is the way that they brilliantly skirt around what it is and how much she lost.
Yeah.
And they never really tell us, even at the end. They allude to it kind of, but we know that it's a substantial amount.
It was the amount that made Susie cry. I mean, just absolutely lose it in her apartment.
And I don't even think she was crying because of the money for her. I think what hurt her the most is that what she had done to Midge.
That's what I think too. And it was honestly, as a viewer, it was so shocking. I did not see this coming. I know we've kind of seen her gamble throughout the season, but I never thought that she would do this to Midge or squander away her money. I really thought that she was protecting Midge, and it was so disappointing, especially after we see the whole apartment scene and how Midge thinks she's saved up money this whole time, and then all of a sudden it's like our dreams are crushed because maybe she's not going to get the apartment after all because the money is gone. And I don't know. I just hope the insurance thing and burning down the mom's house and like this whole crazy sort of storyline. You're like, where is this going? What's going to happen?
Season 6, the cops come after her.
Doesn't it just like make you so mad though? This is the season finale and we're learning all this new stuff and we're like, okay, wait, we have to wait 6 more months at least, if not a year, until we find out any answers on where this is going to go.
Right? Yeah. And I think that just when we see that ending with the house burning down and learning, well, one, that Susie had gone to Joel and said, I know you're still in love with her. I want you to guard the money from now on. Right. I loved that scene.
I did too.
But then I also kind of loved that ending too, where we see Susie and Tessie together. And that they actually, like, regardless of their mother and how she is, at least the two sisters have this bonding moment where they're burning down their childhood. And it's like, let's forget about this.
Literally.
And hey, insurance money. And the fact that the sister was so on board with it and didn't expect to be given any of the insurance money. I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. Okay. So the only other thing I want to mention about this is that we had some foreshadowing when Reggie was talking to Susie during the gambling scene and literally was hinting that there are things in the business you don't want to do. Yeah. So let's talk about the Apollo and Midge's set, because I felt very frustrated for her after everything went down. But how did you guys feel?
I was... again, Midge just plays to the room, so she's brilliant at that. I think she saw Reggie as a friend, and so when Reggie said, I want you to talk about Shy, she did, in her honest way, not realizing that she would be hurting him.
Yeah.
Didn't you guys also get really mad? Because ultimately, this is Susie's fault. Susie gambled away all this money and then is trying to cover her ass with it and get all this insurance money to pay back Midge's fortune. But in the meantime, she missed the biggest night, basically, of Midge's career at the Apollo Theater, which is such a huge moment for Midge. She's so nervous before she's about to go on stage because of everything that happened with Mom's Mabley. And now here she is all alone having to rely on Reggie, who she doesn't know that well. He gives her bad advice. And meanwhile, she's going to have to pay really heavily for this.
Now, in all fairness, the set was pretty funny. So in terms of, it made me uncomfortable what she was alluding to with him, because I felt like, okay, she's stepping, like, even if he didn't care and he was out about his sexuality, I felt like she was stepping over the line, and that she was only, it's a sign of the times, and she was only kind of joking that way because of Reggie's advice. But if Susie had been there, she would have obviously been talking to her, and Susie would, she might have given her, she would have given her good advice.
I think so too.
Yeah.
And a lot more safe advice. Like when he was saying, talk about the gossip on the tour, talk about this. And we already knew Reggie was in hiding and not out and having these girls on his arm and constantly pretending. So why would he tell her to do that?
And so I'm going to talk about the ending really fast, because Reggie specifically said, oh, well, I didn't know that you knew about that part. And my argument to that is, everyone seemed to know about that part, because everyone kept saying Des Moines, and like everyone knew. Reggie should have assumed she knew too, either that or he didn't think that Shai would care somehow, which I don't get how, like, I just don't get that I don't get his advice. Reggie should have been more specific. Yeah. Either that or I don't really sense that he wanted to get her kicked off. It didn't feel like that to me.
But you kind of do wonder, was he sabotaging?
Yeah.
I mean, why would you say that? Why would you say go out there and talk about the gossip? I don't know. It was just such a weird
That was a
comment
rough, hard end to the show, and I see why they set it up for for the next season. But it was really hard to see Reggie just kind of say, I'm saving my butt. Yeah. I'm in manager mode. We're not friends like we were in previous scenes on this episode.
He went back to the beginning with that ending scene, telling her, Shai doesn't want to see you. I'm curious. What I'm guessing, and I'm going to say it now, even though this is more of a prediction, I'm guessing what's going to happen is that one day, kind of like with Benjamin and Midge, that one day Shai and Midge will get that moment to talk. But for now, it is just so frustrating. This Reggie guy just...
My soul was crushed, I have to say. Like, I did not sleep well the night after, and that sounds kind of funny, but I am such a super fan of this show, and you really... I don't know, you just were feeling like Midge had it all together finally. She had worked so hard. She had saved up all her money. She was going to get her own apartment and get her parents there living with her, and going on this big tour and performing at the Apollo and killing it. Everything was going right until, it was not.
Yeah, which is a great way to end. Yeah.
Exactly.
So let's jump to our segments before we wrap for the day. First, we have our news segment. Ashley, take it away.
Yeah, so basically you guys talked about in episode 1 that the show had already been nominated for 2 Golden Globes, but then now we are also seeing the show is nominated for 4 Screen Actors Guild Awards, which is amazing, including Outstanding Performance by an Ensemble in a Comedy Series. I'm so happy for them. And they've won a Screen Actors Guild Award, and specifically Rachel Brosnahan before. So they also got 3 nominations for the Critics' Choice Awards, including Comedy Series. So they are going to be everywhere this award season. It starts in January. It's going to be so exciting to see. I know they're going to take home some awards, so I can't wait to see which ones, and I hope Rachel Brosnahan definitely takes home some.
Ah, nice.
That's amazing. Yeah. So let's get to our Women in Comedy segment.
We have to find a better intro, even though it's the last episode of the season. Yeah. So we saw Moms Mabley on stage at the Apollo, where she actually performed and played so eloquently by Wanda Sykes. I love Wanda Sykes, and such a character. So Moms Mabley was part of something called the Chitlin Circuit. Mabley attracted mainstream attention in the 60s. She played Carnegie Hall. Wow. So, and she recorded more than 20 albums, appeared on TV. We got to see an example of her style and her costumes for the way she was on stage. And interesting, I had mentioned in previous episodes that there's a podcast series called The History of Stand-Up, hosted by professor and comedian Wayne Fetterman. It's really great, and they specifically spend season 2, episode 3 on the Chitlin Circuit, which is fascinating. And so if you're interested in the history of comedy, check out the podcast. That episode in particular give you more about moms.
Awesome. Well,
so cool.
Yeah. Let's get to our predictions.
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Lauren, would you like to start?
Sure. So much there. So I know that things will work out, but how it will work out, I don't know. And I think in order to release all of the pent-up energy I have from this last episode, I'm going to release it. I'm going to say it's going to work out. I can't wait to see what happens and the ensuing comedy. But yeah.
I mean, for me, I just don't even have predictions, really. I have hopes and dreams. I have hopes for Midge that the apartment pans out. I have actually a really big hope that they say this was a big misunderstanding and that Shai realizes everything's okay. She didn't give anything away. He still loves her. They're really good friends. He wants her back on tour. Or maybe she lands something even bigger. Maybe that's how we're going to see season 4 start out. But yeah, I can only hope and pray that she's doing okay and that she gets back on her feet and everything's okay. And yeah, I love her.
So I don't think it's gonna work out for her and Shai. I think eventually they might have their moment where they get to talk, maybe when she's doing another tour or maybe when she makes her own way in somewhere else. I think what's gonna happen is that her set was funny enough on the Apollo, somebody else is going to see her and gonna, maybe by accident, or maybe they're gonna find Susie and try to get her onto whatever. But I feel like season 4 is gonna be all about Susie, or all about Midge actually climbing up more and not just doing comedy tours, but doing something bigger.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
I almost feel like she might end up in LA and doing more comedy in Los Angeles instead.
Maybe she's going to be a late night talk show host.
Yeah, which I could see
Right.
that.
That would
yeah.
be amazing.
She might appear on the Tonight Show, which Johnny Carson had took over around that time. So we'll see. I'm curious to see what era how far the show's going to jump ahead. This next season.
Because they've only gone like maybe a year at a time.
Yeah.
So I'm curious too. They did so much jumping in this season that maybe they are going to jump a couple heads, but a couple years ahead. So this was our final episode that we're covering for season 3. It has been amazing being on the panel with you guys.
No, it's been so much fun.
Yeah.
We did everything in 2 days,
We
and it was
did.
just like, now I can't believe we have to wait so long.
know.
But
I
it's
think we're
exciting.
going to need to come back for award season.
Yeah.
Maybe to talk about that.
That would be
Absolutely.
awesome. I would love that.
Maybe we'll be back. Ashley, where can everybody find you?
You can follow me on Instagram at Ashley Fultz, Fultz.
And Lauren.
I'm on Instagram at Loren Kling. And also don't forget the Meowvelous Mrs. Maisel.
And I'm Rachel Goodman. You can find me on Twitter at Rach Goodman or on my author Instagram account at Rachel Radner Author. If you're a fan of the soap The Young and the Restless, I'm also on the AfterBuzz YNR Restless Rap Show on Sundays.
Oh, cool.
And Ray Donovan right after that. So if you still want to watch me talk, you can find me there. Until next time, I'm sure we'll be back. I hope you guys have a wonderful holiday season and, just stay warm.
Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.